think having an interlock grip means you have to have it too tight, or that you have to have too strong a grip. Maybe it tends to go that way, but you know, I've just seen too many players play great. You know, play with that interlock grip.
I think a lot of the old timers played with an interlock, and then it kind of went to the guard.
Well, your dad played with the thumb off.
He had the thumb off, but Nicklaus was that way, and you know, when Tiger started playing so well, Tiger Woods has had such a huge influence on the way people play golf these days and how they grip it. He had an interlocking grip, so we saw most young players just copying him.
Jim, I'm curious why you wanted him to get rid of that 10-finger grip and just pull that other finger up.
Well, just because I think with the 10-finger grip, it just puts more separation between your hands. I wanted him to pull his hands were so far down. I just remember, you know, starting the grip at the top knuckle, so your hands would unify, and that the left thumb is a pressure point into the center part of your right hand for a right-handed golfer. So that to me is a nice unifying position. So I thought John would do better if he could get the hands more together in his swing, although he was doing good, so it was kind of a tough change. The same thing with Alexis Thompson on a different way, where she was beating everybody with a super strong grip, and then moving her grip into a good grip, where she played horrible for a couple weeks at least, and it's really tough to change a grip. I thought changing Scott's grip was actually quite easy because of the tilt in his body. Once we got him squared up, then the normal grip was pretty easy for him to do.
I think you find with higher handicaps, it's much easier to change a grip. With a real good player, it's hard to change it because he's played successfully with one, and you have to be careful.
Hi, I'm Megan Padua. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to let us ask these questions. And I hope I ask this on behalf of a lot of the young professionals here. You both are not only such great teachers, but also such great mentors. And I'm kind of curious what drives you to be such great mentors and really help young professionals out, kind of on one end of the question. And also, as a young professional, what advice do you have for us?
I think Jimmy and I grew up in this game. Since day one, Jimmy's been a good player, still is a very good player. We grew up in golf. We grew up being around golf. I grew up being around my dad, who was a great mentor to so many great champions. You grew up around the great champions. And I think we saw how they shared their information, how easy it was for them to share their information with people that worked for them and things like that. And so I think it's very easy for us to try and pass that on. Would you say, Jim?
Yeah, I think that's right. My dad worked for Boeing Aircraft, and he gave me a lot of good things, but he told me one thing when I started up in New York. He said to hire the best people you possibly could and try to have them be successful. It will help you, and that's absolutely worked for me. I've hired a lot of great professionals that some are still teaching with me, and some have their own head pro jobs, or director of golf jobs, or director of instruction jobs. But that's been a great thing in my life. I've never tried to hold anybody back that has worked for me, either in New York and now down at Trump National Doral or the other schools. But we have 25 teachers down there in the summer now and 9 assistants. So they're not all going to stay with me, and I have to help them get along and move on to a different position or get really good and teach for us full time. But I would say just what Butch said is I had so many people do things for me, including his dad and other people, Al Mingert, Ben Doyle in Seattle, and then Jackie Burke in Houston, where I went to the University of Houston. And Jackie Burke's been like, it's unbelievable what this man's done for me. And also for Butch, by the way. Jackie Burke is just incredible, who worked for Claude Harmon, Sr. And we've had people help us so much that it's I think it's pretty easy to do everything we can to help people work for us.
I think it's a tribute to Jim or to me or ones in my family that we've had so many assistants that have worked for us that have gone on to be very successful, good teachers, good club pros. And that's what you want. You said the right word. We never want to hold anybody back. If we're doing our job, we want you to be able to branch out. We like to say in our family have been so many assistant pros that work for my father, that have worked for Craig, that worked for Dick, worked for me, that worked for Bill, and that branches out, and then that tentacle keeps going, because then they train them the same way, same ones that work for you. So I think it's just part of who we are and the way we learn, to be honest with you. What was the second part of your question?
The second part was just kind of standard advice that you give your young professionals who come and train with you.
Well, first of all, I would tell you to never stop learning. My son Claude said this in my introduction last night. His dad used to say this all the time. It's what you learn after you think you know it all is probably the most important part. I'm 71 years old. I've been a golf pro for 50 years, and I'm still learning. Have an open mind. The other thing I would tell you is do not stereotype your beliefs. Think outside the box. Don't be afraid to dare to be different. Don't just get so locked into one way, because everybody you teach is going to be different. So have an open mind. I like to tell people when I do seminars, the seminar I would recommend you go to is think about the guy, the instructor that's had a lot of success, that you disagree with the most, that you completely disagree with just about everything he says. Go to his seminar. Why? Because you're going to learn something. Because you're going to leave there having learned something you didn't know, and it's going to make you a better instructor by that. So always keep an open mind.
And I would just say that I encourage the guys and girls that work for me to read those old books. I heard somebody else say that, Mike, in the summit here, about actually going back and looking at some of those old books. You're going to be shocked at how smart they were and how many great things they had and how they learned to teach and how they learned to play and the history of the game and the history of teaching. There's so much to learn as a teacher to improve yourself, and there's opportunities, but it's easy to just stay in your club, get a DVD. It's a little tougher to get on the plane or drive somewhere and go see somebody.
You want to be any good, you better do that, that's for sure. Okay.
Thank you so much.
A pleasure, thank you.
Back here.
Brian Manzella, excuse me. I know there's been a lot of talk about teaching with your eyes. I totally agree with y'all. Two of the best that ever lived doing that. But y'all both use video a lot and some other technology. I'd like to know, what is it that you see on video or see with other technology that you use that fools your eyes still to this day?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the video for me really verifies things, and what fools me is, I think I'm pretty good at really listening well to impact, but it's great to actually, see that impact on slow motion, or you can see the smash factor on the TrackMan. That helps your teaching, because I think center context is the most important thing for me, just about in teaching. Another thing that's tough to see is how much lag somebody has, whether it's a little too much or a little too not enough. Where does the throw actually occur? And then the other thing I like to see is where exactly does the guy start to shut the club face, let's say, or spin the face open? In what section of the swing does it happen? So that's pretty hard to see. I think Butch and I could probably, and a lot of you could come very close. But I like that verification of seeing it.
I think that's why I use the video to show the student what I was just telling him I saw, so he can see it. I really love listening to Jim Hardy before lunch talking about the difference between what the right arm and the left arm does during the golf swing, because they're completely different, and people have different ways of doing it when you come from different positions. I would caution you, though, don't just rely on video. Let the ball help you understand, because Jim and I both learned long before there was video, and the ball pretty much told us the direction the ball starts, the spin on the ball, the curvature on the ball, pretty much tells you the path of the club and the club face angle at impact. Now, it doesn't tell you about grip and posture and stuff like that, but it gives you a pretty good understanding of what the arms and body are doing together.
I'd also say, the exact angle of attack with your driver, that's a little difficult to see on your own. I do think, though, after you've used the TrackMan, I can stand to the side of the TrackMan, and I think a lot of you can, and predict what that spin is with my eyes. Yeah. I know if it's spinning too much, and I know if it's not spinning enough.
Yeah, I probably couldn't tell you the RPM, but I can darn sure tell you when one's spinning different than the other, and that's really all we need to know.